Happy Valentine's month, everybody. I'm the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to share with you some of my favorite Valentine's Day episodes from TV shows or even movies. Not everything is all lovey-dovey. Sometimes Valentine's Days deal with heartache and everything. So, some episodes will be romantic and lovey-dovey, while others will be very sad and heart-wrenching and stuff. But love is love. It doesn't always come with smiles and giggles and glee. So, I'm here today to talk to you about A Guide to Second Date Sex, also known as Second Date Sex. Now, I came across this movie for one reason and one reason only, and that is the lead actress in this, Alexandra Roach. So when I had BritBox about a month ago, I watched a show called No Offense, and I instantly became a fan of Alexandria because of her character. And so I was curious to know what other kind of stuff she was in, because spoiler alert, she meets an unfaithful death in the third season. Or I should say unexpected death, and boom, she's gone. So I was pissed. So I'm like, okay, I want to watch her in more stuff. So I looked up on my TV and saw some of the projects she was in. I'm like, okay, I have the app for this, the app for that. I'll probably watch some of these things later. And since Valentine's Day is a coming, I decided, hey, why not watch this movie? You know what I'm saying? Even though this is not my type of movie, it's just not. Even watching the trailer, I'm just like, nah, I can't. But I want to watch her in more stuff, right? Now, in America, you can watch this on Tubi, and it's called Second Date Sex. I'm assuming that's the American title for it, because when I forgot to watch it on Tubi and I was searching for it on my TV, I couldn't find it. I had to go look her name back up and everything. Apparently, on the internet and stuff, and I guess if you search it on the television, and especially Wikipedia, it's called A Guide to Second Date Sex. And they even spelt the word second different from the way it is on Tubi. Tubi is just the 2ND, and everywhere else they actually spell it out. So one of these names is for international, ones for the country it's from, which is Britain. But this is a British comedy movie and stuff, romance movie too. And so I'm not sure why it's called A Guide to Second Date Sex, because in the movie they don't really guide you through nothing. They don't really give you too much opinion. Yes, there's these two characters that kind of give them advice and everything, but that's about it, and it's very brief. And so it's not like American Pie where you're getting all these details and this and that. I guess the details and the things that happen to the characters in the movie, and that's the problem right there, because this movie is just okay. It's funny, it's cute, it's quirky. Some of the jokes land, others don't. They rely heavily, and I mean heavily, on humor. It's more of a comedy movie than it is a romantic movie. But is the type of humor they rely on is cringe humor and unexpected humor. There's so much stuff that happens in this movie that is so pointless, it doesn't add nothing to the story. And I'm just kind of and it's not even really all that funny. It could be a little funny. Now, sometimes it's a lot funny. But other time it's just why? Why would you put this in your movie for? I don't get it. You're wasting your runtime. And you need more exposition. You need more build up for stuff. You need to let things play out a bit more. I just don't understand this choice. Now, like I said, I went into this movie for Alexandria, but I came out of it realizing that there's a lot of people who star in this movie I recognize, and some people I'm a fan of. I could not believe it and everything. So George McKay, he let's see, or is it Mackey? Or I was to say McKay. He plays Ryan. He's the main, like, co-lead of the movie. And I remember this guy all the way back from 2003. Or is it 2009? I think it was 2000. I can't remember. But that Peter Pan movie I reviewed on here. He played Curly. I had no idea that was Curly. I assumed he probably stopped acting like so many other people from that movie. And because this movie right here came out in 2019. And so it had been 2003. And I'm just like, ew, I saw Curly's pubes. Yes, there are pubes in this movie. I'm so shocked and surprised by what I saw. Like at first, like okay, I'll get into that a little bit later. And so I'll just get into that a little bit later. And so Michael Sosha, he plays Dan. He has kind of like a smaller role in this. And I remember this dude from Once Upon a Time in Wonderland. And he was a pretty cool character. I really liked his character in that show. And so let's see, somebody else. Oh, Emma Rigby. She plays Tufts. The hell kind of name is that? Tufts. Tufts? Anyway. Whatever. She was also in Once Upon a Time Wonderland, where she played Michael's love interest and everything. And I was a fan of hers, and my gosh, she's so gorgeous and everything. And holy crap, I could not believe this. I almost fell over. Holly Dempsey, like, she plays Bianca. I remember her as Miss Emily Lacey from Harlots, who I was a huge fan of and had a huge crush on. Like, she is so gorgeous and stuff. So I did not know she was in this movie and all these other people. Now, everybody else in this movie, which isn't much, I have no idea who they are. Now, the movie itself, the movie was written and directed by Rachel Hirons. And this is one of those opportunities where I wish they would have had two separate people, one doing the writing and one doing the directing, because there was nobody to tell her no. Like, you know what I'm saying? There was nobody to tell her, hey, change this, change that, unless, cause I doubt the producers really, like, I don't know, like, maybe they didn't really want to interfere, maybe not. This movie had a lot of producers on it. But it's one of those things where it's kind of like, I would have preferred to have somebody else either co-write or write this to hammer out some of the stuff that just didn't work in the movie for me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's quirky, but it relies too much on quirks. It's cringy, but it relies too much on cringe. Now, a lot of these people who I named who star in this movie, they actually star in more like serious type stuff. And for some of them, this is my first time seeing them in comedy and stuff. And I watch more serious British stuff than comedy. So I'm not too, like, familiar with British comedy. I've seen a couple, but not a lot, And so, but I'm not the only person who feels this way. Like, there are other people who have watched this movie. I don't know what country they're from, but a lot of people do say that, the first half of this movie is kind of hard to get through and everything. That twist at the end, like, made my eyes like pop open. I think I was getting a little tired, and I was just starting to, like, look around the room, seeing what's on my tablet, and I heard something like, wait, what? I'm like, I gotta pay attention to this. I turned the volume up and everything. But unfortunately, it's a twist that kind of goes nowhere. So basically, what this movie's about is about two people. It's about Ryan and Laura, and they want to go on a second date. They've only known each other for a week, and both of them, for their second date, they want to have sex, but the other person doesn't know it. Now, both of these two people came out of serious relationships that went wrong and everything. For Ryan, we find out later in the movie that his ex-girlfriend, Tufts, cheated on him with a friend of his. He walked in and she was just getting banged on the couch. Then when it comes to Laura, we hear from her that, she had a boyfriend or a husband or something like that, and he was bi. And for 6 years, she thought he was bi, but it turns out he's gay, and he just doesn't want her no more. And so she was in that relationship for 6 years, and Ryan was in his for 2. So they're looking to, like, get busy with some people and get back into the field. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, both of them are like dorks. They're really dopey and losers, especially that of Ryan. Now, they're around their late 20s because Laura says she's 28, even though the actress is 32. So everybody's around like that age range, right? Laura lives at home with her mom. Ryan has two roommates. One roommate, he doesn't even know the guy's name. And like both these two people have a hard time getting somebody else. We don't know the reason why she has a hard time dating, but for Ryan, he is not over his ex. And in fact, he constantly calls her and texts her every day talking about he loves her and he can't get over her. And it's been 2 years, right? And so this movie really needs to explain things just a bit more to understand why these characters. Hold on a second, my thing is falling off the wall. What the heck is going on with this? I am not liking this at all. I got my display and I don't want things falling over. Sorry about that. I got distracted. I got things mounted on the wall and something's trying to fall off. And when one thing fall, they all fall. But back to the movie. So it's kind of like you need kind of a little bit more explanation as to why these characters are the way they are. Why are they so dopey? Why are they so dorky? Why are they such losers? Why they have a hard time trying to get like somebody else? You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't really explain that. You kind of see it. So they always say you show, you don't tell. I need both when it comes to these characters. I need to be told and I need to see it. Because it's kind of like when you see the way these two act, they're a match made in heaven. You know what I'm saying? You have her when she's arguing with her mom, she just throws her face into her bed. This is the weird thing. Laura acts like a teenager. She doesn't act like she's 28 years old. And she acts more like she's about 14 years old, right? And Ryan acts like a kid in middle school who's never seen a pair of boobs. You know what I'm saying? Like, he is like the ultimate loser. And so when you see the way he acts, and it is dreadful, like, not his acting performance, but like how dopey and dorky he is, you stop and ask yourself, how in the world has he managed to land two beautiful women that are completely one's completely out of his league by the way she acts, but the other one acts just kind of like him, but slightly different. But you still wonder how the world he managed to get them and everything, you know? Like, he's not no Casanova. And when it comes to her, it's kind of like, why is she so awkward and peculiar? You know what I'm saying? You need a little something extra in the beginning. Now, like I said before, this is their second date, and they've only known each other for a week. And when the movie starts off, you see them at the club talking and mingling, but then it cuts from that on to a week later, and then it's like both of them are trying to arrange a second date. Well, what the heck happened on their first date? You know what I'm saying? Now, one interesting thing, which I kind of like, is what the writer did. We see flashbacks all throughout the movie of their first date, and it's sporadic all throughout the movie. And so we see these two interacting, and they are a match made in heaven. They're hanging out, they're talking, they're giggling. But the thing is, they're pissed drunk. That's why they're so open and so overly friendly and making jokes and everything. And when they're walking in the street, her shoes are falling off. He's like, "Oh no, I'll carry you on my back." And they're doing it, and they're just having like a great time and everything. They see some dude on the street, and he's all like, "Who's prettier, me or her?" And it's like, he'll ask her like a bunch of random questions, and she's so drunk, all she answers is Dublin and everything. And it's just kind of like, that alcohol is bringing out more of their vibrant personalities that make them so fun. They're still funny and dorky, but less cringy and everything, and more cutesy whoopsie, like flirtatious and stuff. And this would have been nice to see before instead of flashbacks. Like, and then we'll be like, okay, this is why they're going on the second date, and this is what they did on the first date. It was just them hanging out and goofing around and just bonding, you know what I'm saying? But then the problem comes in their second date. In their second date, they are so awkward, it act like they don't know each other because they technically don't. Because they don't know really the first thing about each other. So when he invites her over, she wants to go out for drinks. He doesn't want to. He wants to keep her there and hook up with her. But she wants to hook up as well. And so they both get advice from like their friends. He gets it from his roommate, and she gets it from like her friend. And so like everything just goes completely wrong because both of them are so awkward, especially when they're around each other. Like they want to watch him. He doesn't want her to do her in his room. And his roommate's like, "Look, I got silk sheets that are sexy. Do her in my room." But then he's so awkward around his roommate's room and doesn't realize that his roommate has like, I guess like Pokemon porn and everything. And it's kind of like everything he's doing to impress her is turning her off, and but she's still there and everything. Cause it's kind of like, do they really like each other, or is it like, do they just want to use each other for sex? Because it's kind of like they don't really know each other. And they was pissed drunk when they first met. I wish the movie would have built more on that. Like, um, them talking about their desperations to want to date, and them talking about, I really don't know this person, but it's the only option I have. And and as they try to get to know each other, they kind of like turn each other off, and then find that common ground that brings them together. I would have liked to see that, you know what I'm saying? Now, in between all this, like I said before, there's a bunch of weird, random stuff that just happens in the movie. He runs out of cups when he tries to get her a drink. Then there's the third roommate, whose name we never learn in the movie. Even he doesn't know. That's why he's just so friendly to him and stuff. He try to avoid him because he doesn't know the dude's name. The dude's name is Adam. It's in the credits. It's literally a whole mystery throughout the whole movie that they make a big deal about not knowing his name, to the point where Dan brings this girl he meets at a club, and it's like, in the credits, she ends up ditching Dan and banging Adam, and he's all like, say my name, say my name. And she can't because she don't know it. But Adam is so gross and nasty. He's in his underwear. He has his feet in water. He's rubbing I guess, dead skin off and scratch. all in front of them while they're having their date, and it's so nasty and awkward. It's like, how does Laura just not run out of there? You know? Oh, I didn't even get into like the whole pube thing. So they showed an up close shot of her pelvic area when she had underwear on. I'm just like, is that teeny tiny pubic hair I see trying to come from her underwear? I'm like, oh, hey, it is. Now I'm thinking, what was the point in showing that? But it leads to something else in the movie. So that makes sense. There's context in the beginning, so then there's context later on. So but this is the part that don't make no sense. So she wanted to bang, right? And her friend gave her some advice about wear a bracelet, take it off. If he puts it on and he wants to do you, that don't make no sense. That's either a new young thing I never heard of or a British thing. And so she does that, and he just puts it on the lava lamp thing, right? So she's just kind of like, oh, I guess he doesn't want to do nothing. But she didn't shave anyways, right? So when he starts to let her know that, hey, maybe we should, then it's like, oh crap. Because it's like she realizes she has not shaved. So she runs in his bathroom and she shaves, but she still has her underwear on. I don't know how things are able to penetrate through her clothes, because towards the end of the movie, they bang constantly in different positions and different clothes and different days. And somehow he's able to go through her clothes. Like it's magic or something. But she shaves and there's pubic hair and like the sink in the water. Oh, it's nasty. I get they wanted to show a realistic thing. Come on, you don't gotta show that. Then he's trimming himself, and my God, you see a bush come from him and like a blurred shot and him trimming it with scissors. I'm like, I did not need to see Curly's pubes and everything, or Curly's naked behind. Ugh, God. Like, I don't need to see that. So at one point in time, I thought maybe this could be like American Pie. The only problem is American Pie is written a heck of a lot better. They literally hammered that movie out to where they know from point A to point B to point C all the way to Z of what they're gonna do. Here it just seemed like, hey, this is cringy, will make people laugh. Hey, this will gross people out, make them laugh. Hey, we don't have to explain this. And hey, what's the point in explaining that? You know what I'm saying? And so you have stuff like that going all through the movie. And they're watching Cruel Intentions. And they actually had people dub the lines over, which really tricked me. I thought those were the real voices and stuff. So kudos to that. And so, but then on top of that, you have the stuff going on with Dan in the club. So it's just a bunch of random stuff with him. He's talking to his roommate on the phone, and when he does, there's an Asian girl named Tally in front of him who insults him because I guess he said something that was like she just found insulting or something like that, right? Then minutes later in the movie, those two are like liking each other. And it's just like she went from not liking him, thinking he's an idiot, to liking him because now she's drunk. So eventually they come back to the apartment and they want to do it. And it's more awkward, cringy humor that just comes completely out of nowhere. And it doesn't add nothing to the story. Then, like I said in the credits, she dumps him for like Adam. And Adam is not the type of guy you would think she would go with, but she's pissed drunk and it makes absolutely no sense. But then there is a weird twist that comes completely out of nowhere that somewhat saves this movie. So something happened where they were unable to perform. I forget why. And Tough comes knocking on the door, talking about she wants him back. And it was a big mistake to leave him and stuff like that and cheat on him. So now he's in the awkward position where he has one girl in the bed he's ready to do and one downstairs he can't get enough of, you know? And so he's trying his best to get rid of her. She's drunk. And then she goes up stairs and she sees Laura. That's not the twist. The twist is Laura and Tough actually know each other. And Ryan's just kind of like, Ryan asked the question that the viewers ask because it took a long time for the writer to explain how these two know each other. it goes on for several minutes where they're all kind of like, so this is the Ryan you're talking about, like pissing the bed, Ryan? He's like, what are you talking about pissing the bed? So apparently Ryan pees in the bed, which is more weird, cringy humor. And so they're just going back and forth, back and forth. And Tough is like, oh, you playing this and everything. And Ryan's like, I bet both of y'all playing this just to embarrass me. And it just goes on and on and on. And then Dan comes back with his girl, and it just keeps going on and on. And we still don't know how these two know each other. Like, are they related? Are they friends? Like, what? But then when Laura has finally had enough and she storms out, she tells Tough, like, this is why the boss hates you. So they're working buddies and friends and stuff. Where exactly they work at, we don't know. Now, technically, where they work at is not important to the story. But because Laura's 28 and lives at home with her mom, you kind of want to know where she works at. And so she just storms off, and Ryan finally grows a pair, and he's completely done with Tough and tells her to leave. Then he chases after Laura and brings her back. They try to do it, but he shot his load too early. But then those two decided, you know what, they're gonna try to get us another go later on down the line because they do actually kind of like each other. And so at the end of the credits, like I said before, we constantly see them doing it and stuff like that in different days, different positions, and different clothes. And it's just one of these types of movies where you get the idea. It's just the execution kind of falls completely wrong. Like I said before, it's cute. It's quirky and everything. It's awkward, but it's too much awkwardness. There's too much cuteness and there's too much cringiness and everything. Seeing Laura prance, like here's the thing about her. She has the worst direction when using her GPS on her phone. And so like when she runs around at night panicking, she prances and everything. And Ryan is just the biggest loser from the Big Bang Theory. Combine all those guys together when trying to get a girl, that is him. And it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, if I was writing this, I would approach it certain different ways. One, I would probably just do a standard generic type story where we see them in the club, they interact, they like each other, and we see why they like each other. Then they decide to go on a second date, but things go wrong and they have to stay in, and and they want to like do each other, but something's always like, because they don't know each other very well, something's always coming up, but in a actual hilarious American Pie kind of way. I would take out the roommate, the Adam guy, because he doesn't add nothing to the story. Let's see. I would take out, what did I say, Tila, Tally, and everything. I would take her out. That met Dan at the club because she doesn't add nothing. Instead, who I will replace her with is, I would replace Tally with either Tough or Bianca. Bianca is the friend of Laura, who we don't get to see much in this movie other than a cameo, played by Holly. And so when he brings one of them home, then Laura could be all like, hey, it's Bianca and everything, and stuff like that. And like, I know her and everything. And so then it could be kind of like a friend situation where they both brought girls home. They both want to do her, but there's only one condom left. So who gets to get it? Similar to Monica and Rachel in that one Friends episode. So shenanigans happen, and one of them gets to like get the condom and get the girl. Something like that. Or I would have it be not Bianca, but I would have it be Tough that he brings home, not knowing who she is, even though he knows who she is and stuff. But like, pretend like he didn't. And he brings her home. And next thing you know, she's like, oh crap, that's my ex Ryan, Or I would replace Toph and have Bianca be his ex-girlfriend, and Laura had no idea that's the Ryan she's been talking about the entire time. Something like that would have been a heck of a lot funnier, in my opinion. Now, wasn't that romantic? Or depressing, depending on what kind of video I just talked about. Okay, well, happy Valentine's Day, everybody, and bye.